There are moments in life that don't arrive with noise. They don't knock loudly or demand attention. They just stand quietly in front of you, and suddenly everything makes sense. For me, that moment was you, not fireworks, not some perfect movie scene, just a simple realization that kept growing louder every day, that life feels more honest, more real, more alive when you're in it. People spend years searching for big answers. What is happiness? What is home? What is forever? And sometimes the universe answers with a person. You. You became the calm in my chaos, the pause between my worries, the reason ordinary days started to feel extraordinary. I don't stand here today because love is perfect. I stand here because love is real. Because real love shows up on ordinary mornings, in small conversations, in quiet smiles, and in the way someone becomes your safest place without even trying. And somewhere between all the laughs, the silence, the dreams, and the fears, a question started forming in my heart. A simple question. A brave question. A forever kind of question. I don't want a life that just happens. I want a life we build. So today, from the deepest and most honest place in my heart, I'm here to ask you something that changes everything. I want to marry you. And you? I used to think life was a series of destinations, milestones, checkpoints, moments you reach and then celebrate, like you finally arrived somewhere permanent. But the truth is, life never really stops moving. It flows quietly, like a river that doesn't announce its direction. And somewhere in that movement, without warning, you appeared. Not like a sudden storm, not like fireworks, more like sunlight slowly finding its way into a room that didn't even realize it had windows. There was no dramatic beginning, no cinematic music playing in the background, just ordinary days that started feeling less ordinary, conversations that stretched longer than time allowed, silences that didn't feel empty, and the strange comfort of knowing someone else existed in the same rhythm as your heart. People talk about love as if it's loud, as if it needs grand gestures and perfect words. But what I discovered with you was quieter, softer, more honest. Love didn't arrive shouting, it arrived whispering. It showed up in the way your presence made chaos feel manageable, in the way your laughter rewrote bad days, in the way your existence quietly changed the temperature of my world. Before you, life felt like a series of goals. Work harder, move forward, build something meaningful, achieve things that look impressive from the outside. And yet, even with progress, there was always a quiet space inside that felt unfinished. Not broken, not lonely, just waiting for something I didn't have words for yet. Then you came along, and suddenly the definition of progress changed. It stopped being about distance and started being about closeness, about shared moments, shared smiles, shared dreams that didn't need to be spoken out loud to be understood. You didn't change who I am, you helped me understand who I already was. You didn't fill a void, you revealed a space that was always meant for you. There's something incredible about realizing that happiness isn't a destination, it's a person you want to walk beside. It's the way your thoughts naturally begin, including someone else in every plan, every future, every possibility. I started noticing it in the smallest ways. When something good happened and you were the first person I wanted to tell. When something difficult happened and you were the only voice that could quiet the noise. When silence felt more meaningful sitting next to you than speaking with anyone else. And that's the thing about real love. It doesn't demand attention. It earns it. It grows patiently, like roots beneath the surface, invisible until one day you realize the entire landscape has changed. I used to think forever was a big word, a heavy word, a word people used when they were trying to promise something impossible. But with you, forever stopped feeling intimidating. It started feeling natural, like the most obvious direction a story could take. Because loving you never felt like effort. It felt like recognition of home. Not the kind built with walls and roofs, but the kind built with trust, laughter, and the quiet certainty that someone sees you completely and still chooses to stay. There's something powerful about being seen. Truly seen. Not the version we show the world, not the polished, edited version of ourselves, but the unguarded one. The one with fears and doubts and dreams that sometimes feel too fragile to share. You saw that version of me, and you didn't step away, you stepped closer. That kind of courage changes a person. It softens the edges of doubt. It turns hesitation into hope. It makes the future feel less like a question, more like a possibility waiting to happen. I started imagining ordinary things differently. Morning coffee tasting better because you're across the table. Long drives feeling shorter because conversations never run out. Even quiet nights becoming something to look forward to, instead of something to fill. Love didn't arrive like lightning, it arrived like gravity, slowly, inevitably, pulling every part of my life toward you until resisting felt impossible and unnecessary. There's a beautiful simplicity in realizing that the person you want beside you during the best days is the same person you want beside you during the worst ones, the same person you want to celebrate with, the same person you want to lean on, the same person you want to grow with, fail with, learn with, and build something real with, because life will never be perfect. There will be storms, unexpected turns, days when nothing goes according to plan. But the idea of facing all of it with you doesn't feel scary. It feels right. And maybe that's the most honest definition of love I've ever understood. Not perfection, not fantasy. Just the quiet certainty that someone is worth every unpredictable chapter life has to offer. I don't want a life that only looks beautiful in photographs. I want a life that feels beautiful when no one else is watching. I want shared mornings that begin before the world wakes up. Conversations that wander without needing a destination. Inside jokes that only we understand. The comfort of knowing that wherever we are becomes meaningful because we're there together. There's something powerful about choosing someone every day. Not because you have to, not because it's easy, but because it feels like the most honest decision your heart knows how to make. I think about time differently now. Not as something slipping away, but as something, waiting to be shared. Waiting to be filled with memories that don't need to be extraordinary to be unforgettable. Because love transforms ordinary moments into milestones. A glance across a room, a shared laugh in the middle of a long day. The quiet reassurance of knowing someone believes in you even when you doubt yourself. And belief is powerful. Being loved by someone who believes in your dreams makes the impossible feel closer. Being loved by someone who supports your growth makes the future feel bigger, brighter, more open. You didn't just become part of my life, you became part of my direction. Every dream started including you. Every plan started making room for you. Every version of tomorrow started feeling incomplete without you in it. It's strange how one person can shift the meaning of everything. How the idea of success begins to include shared happiness. How the idea of home begins to include shared space. How the idea of forever begins to feel less like a promise and more like a hope you want to build together. I used to think love was about finding someone perfect. Now I know it's about finding someone real. Someone whose presence makes you want to become a better version of yourself. Someone whose happiness feels connected to your own. Someone whose hand feels like the most natural place your hand could be. And the more time passes, the clearer everything becomes. I don't want a story that's exciting for a moment. I want a story that lasts a lifetime. A story built on shared laughter, shared strength, and shared dreams that keep evolving as we grow. I want the long conversations, the unexpected adventures, the quiet evenings, the loud celebrations, the challenges we overcome together, the lessons we learn side by side. I want the life that exists beyond the highlights, the everyday life that becomes extraordinary simply because we're living it together. Because love, real love, isn't about dramatic moments. It's about consistent presence. It's about showing up, again and again, through every season. And when I think about the seasons of my life, every one of them feels brighter with you in it. Spring feels warmer, summer feels longer, autumn feels softer, winter feels less cold. You turn time into something gentler. You turn the future into something I look forward to instead of something I try to predict. And the more I think about what matters, the simpler the answer becomes. It's you. It's always been you, not because you completed me, but because you inspired me to build something bigger than myself, something shared, something real, something that keeps growing every day without asking for perfection. I don't want a love story that ends when the credits roll. I want a love story that keeps unfolding. Page after page, year after year, a story written in shared mornings and late night talks, in small victories and big dreams, in the quiet understanding that we chose each other and keep choosing each other. I want the laughter that echoes in empty rooms, the memories that stack quietly over time, the feeling of knowing that no matter how much the world changes, we remain constant for each other. I want the partnership, the friendship, the trust, the promise of building something meaningful that lasts longer than moments. Because when I imagine the future, every path leads back to the same place, standing beside you, walking beside you, growing beside you, not because life is certain, but because choosing you feels certain. And in a world that changes constantly, certainty is rare, precious, worth holding onto with both hands. I don't want perfect days, I want real ones. Days filled with laughter and mistakes and learning and growth. Days that remind us how far we've come and how much further we can go together. I want the chance to wake up and choose you every morning. To fall asleep knowing we built something meaningful during the day. To keep building, keep dreaming, keep moving forward side by side. Because love isn't a moment, it's a direction, and every step forward feels better when you're walking with me. I don't know what every tomorrow holds, no one ever does, but I know what I hope it holds. Shared dreams, shared growth, shared joy, shared strength. A life that feels bigger because it's shared. A future that feels brighter because it includes you. A story that keeps unfolding one day at a time, with two people choosing each other again and again without hesitation, without doubt, without needing perfect answers, just needing the courage to keep walking forward together into whatever comes next, hand in hand, heart open, ready to build a lifetime from moments that begin as ordinary and slowly become unforgettable as they gather meaning and warmth and quiet certainty, growing stronger with every shared sunrise and every whispered conversation in the quiet spaces between busy days, becoming the kind of love that doesn't need to be explained because it can be felt in every glance, every smile, every step taken in the same direction, every dream imagined not as mine or yours, but as ours, waiting patiently on the horizon, ready to be reached together as we keep moving forward without needing guarantees, only needing the simple truth that choosing each other feels like the most honest decision we can make again and again and again without hesitation, without fear, without looking back, because the future feels closer and kinder and brighter when it begins with the words, I want to marry you, and you. I used to think the biggest decisions in life arrived with certainty, that they came with signs, with perfect timing, with the moment that made everything obvious. But the truth is, the most important decisions often arrive quietly. They grow slowly. They take shape in ordinary days, in conversations that seem small at the time, in shared silences that feel more meaningful than words. Somewhere between the routines and the unexpected moments, I began to understand something simple and powerful. Life isn't just about what we achieve, where we go, or what we build. It's about who we choose to walk beside while we build it. And the more I paid attention to the rhythm of my days, the more I realized how naturally you had become part of them. Not as a dramatic turning point, not as a sudden transformation, but as a steady presence that made everything feel more grounded, more real, more alive. It started with small realizations, the kind that don't feel important until they repeat themselves again and again. The way your name appeared in my thoughts during ordinary moments. The way your voice felt like calm in the middle of noise. The way time seemed to move differently when we were together, stretching just enough to make every moment feel worth remembering. People often describe love as something overwhelming, something intense and immediate, but what I found with you was something deeper, something steadier. Love that felt patient, love that didn't rush, love that grew quietly like roots finding their way through the earth, until one day you realize the ground beneath you has changed. I didn't notice the exact moment everything shifted. There wasn't a single day I could point to and say, this is when it happened. Instead, it was a collection of moments. 1,000 small memories stacking on top of each other until they formed something undeniable. It was the comfort of knowing I didn't need to pretend around you, the relief of being understood without needing to explain every thought, the peace of knowing that even silence could be shared without feeling empty. There's a kind of strength in being able to be yourself completely with someone. No performance, no masks, just honesty. And that honesty creates something rare, something steady enough to hold dreams and fears at the same time. Before you, the future felt like a puzzle I needed to solve alone, a path I needed to figure out step by step. But with you, the future started to feel less like a question and more like an invitation. An open road that didn't need all the answers yet, only the willingness to keep moving forward together. I started imagining mornings that began with shared coffee and quiet smiles, evenings that ended with stories about the day, weekends filled with plans that didn't need to be perfect to be meaningful, and the simple joy of knowing that wherever life took us, we would be there, side by side. It's incredible how love changes perspective, how success begins to look different when it includes someone else's happiness, how dreams feel bigger when they're shared, how challenges feel smaller when you don't face them alone. You became the person I wanted to celebrate with when things went right, the person I wanted to lean on when things went wrong, the person whose opinion mattered not because I needed approval, but because I trusted your heart. Trust is a quiet kind of magic. It grows slowly, built from countless small moments of honesty and kindness, and once it exists, it becomes the foundation for everything else. I trusted you with my thoughts, my dreams, my fears, my hopes, and in return, you trusted me with yours, and in that exchange, something beautiful formed, something stronger than excitement, something deeper than attraction, a partnership. The idea of partnership used to feel distant to me, like something people talked about in abstract terms. But with you, it became real, tangible, something I could feel in the way we supported each other, encouraged each other, believed in each other even when doubt appeared. Life is unpredictable. There will be moments of uncertainty, days when plans change, times when the path forward feels unclear, but the thought of facing all of that with you feels less like a challenge and more like a promise. Because the most powerful thing about love isn't that it removes difficulty, it's that it gives difficulty meaning. It turns obstacles into shared challenges instead of solitary battles. I don't want a life that's free from problems. I want a life that's full of purpose, a life built with someone who sees the same horizon and wants to walk toward it together. And every time I imagine that horizon, you're there. Not as a distant figure, but as a constant presence walking at the same pace, sharing the same direction, believing in the same possibility of building something lasting and real. Time feels different when you imagine it shared. Years stop feeling like numbers and start feeling like chapters. Moments stop feeling temporary and start feeling Ike memories in the making. I imagine birthdays celebrated together, holidays filled with traditions we create ourselves. Random days turn special simply because we decide they are. Quiet evenings that feel just as meaningful as grand adventures. I imagine growth, not just individual growth, but shared growth. Learning new things together, supporting each other's dreams, encouraging each other to become better versions of ourselves without losing who we already are. There's something deeply comforting about knowing someone believes in your future, someone who sees your potential even when you're unsure of it, someone who reminds you that you're capable of more than you sometimes think. You became that person for me, and I hope I became that person for you, because love isn't one-sided, it's a shared effort, a mutual decision to keep showing up, to keep caring, to keep building something meaningful day after day. I don't believe in perfect love, I believe in real love. Love that grows through conversation, love that strengthens through understanding, love that evolves as life changes. Real love is patient, it doesn't demand perfection, it embraces growth, it celebrates progress, it forgives mistakes and learns from them. And the more time passes, the more certain I become that the kind of love we're building is the kind that lasts. Not because it's easy, but because it's worth the effort. Because every relationship requires choice. The choice to listen, the choice to support, the choice to stay, the choice to keep moving forward together even when the path isn't perfectly clear. And choosing you has never felt difficult. It has always felt natural, like breathing, like sunlight in the morning, like the quiet comfort of knowing you're exactly where you're meant to be. I think about the life we could build together. The home filled with laughter, the memories created over years of shared experiences, the stories we'll tell about how everything began. I think about the way our lives could